Every single day, billions of moments just ... happen. Most are forgotten. But a handful are so extraordinary, you'd swear they were scripted. So unbelievable that if they weren't caught on camera, no one would believe they were real. It's easy to get buried in the bad news and think the world is spinning out of control. But what if I told you that heroes walk among us every single day? They don't wear capes or masks. They're teachers, construction workers, and complete strangers. They're just ordinary people who, when faced with an extraordinary moment, make a split-second choice to act, to help, to save a life. Today, we're looking at those real-life heroes whose unbelievable actions were all recorded. These are the moments that restore your faith in humanity, the clips that prove courage and compassion are alive and well. From heart-stopping rescues on the edge of disaster to profound acts of kindness, these stories were filmed, and that's the only reason we can believe them. Let's get into it. We start in Paris, but on this evening, the City of Love became the stage for a real-life superhero story. The footage is shaky, filmed by a crowd of stunned onlookers. A 4-year-old child is dangling from a 4th-story balcony, just holding on. Below, people are screaming, pointing, completely helpless. With every second that passes, the child's grip weakens. It looks like a tragedy is about to unfold. Then, out of the crowd, a man appears. He doesn't hesitate. He doesn't wait for anyone to tell him what to do. He just starts climbing. With impossible speed, he scales the front of the building, pulling himself from one balcony to the next like gravity is just a suggestion. The crowd's terror turns to awe as they cheer him on. In seconds, a 22-year-old man named Mamoudou Gassama does something that would challenge a professional stunt person. He reaches the 4th floor, swings a leg over the railing, and snatches the child from the edge, pulling him to safety. Entire rescue takes less than a minute. By the time firefighters arrived, the child was already safe. All thanks to Gassama's incredible bravery. What happened next was just as extraordinary. The video went viral, and Mamoudou Gassama, a migrant from Mali who'd been in France for only a few months, became a national hero. The media dubbed him Le Spider-Man. French President Emmanuel Macron invited him to the Élysée Palace, gave him a medal for courage, and in a life-changing move, granted him French citizenship and a job with the Paris Fire Brigade. Gassama later said he just acted without thinking. "I saw all these people shouting, climbed up like that, and thank God I saved the child." He admitted that once the adrenaline wore off, he was shaking so much he could barely stand. It's a powerful reminder that heroes aren't fearless. They just act in spite of their fear. Our next story takes us inside a school, a place that should always be safe. But sometimes, danger finds its way in. In these moments of pure terror, a hero is defined not by strength, but by compassion. This is exactly what happened at Rigby Middle School in Idaho. The day started like any other. Then, the unthinkable. A student opened fire in the hallway. Amid the chaos, math teacher Krista Knighting rushed to get her students to safety. But her heroism didn't stop there. While helping a wounded student, she saw the shooter, a small, 6th-grade girl holding a handgun. Knighting later said her brain couldn't quite process that this little girl was the source of the danger. But her instinct took over. She knew she had to get the gun. Calmly, she walked toward the student. She didn't shout or threaten. She just got closer, put her hand on the child's arm, and slowly slid it down to the gun. "I just slowly pulled the gun out of her hand, and she allowed me to," Knighting recalled. "She didn't give it to me, but she didn't fight." But what she did next is what truly defines this act of heroism. After disarming the girl, Krista Knighting pulled the young shooter into a hug. She held her and consoled her until the police arrived. She didn't see a monster. She saw a child in crisis. That single act of empathy likely prevented an even greater tragedy. Nighting was hailed as a hero, but she stayed focused on the child, hoping the community could find it in their hearts to forgive her and get her the help she needed. She is just barely starting in life and she just needs some help, Nighting said. Her actions are a profound testament to the idea that true strength is often found in gentleness, and that a hug can be more powerful than a weapon. A similar moment of incredible courage was captured on camera at a high school in Portland, Oregon. Surveillance footage shows a student, Angel Granados Diaz, walk into a classroom with a shotgun hidden under his jacket. Seconds later, Coach Keenan Lowe is seen walking out, holding the gun in one hand and the student with the other. After handing the weapon off, Lowe doesn't tackle the student. He pulls him into a long, tight hug, rubbing his back as the student breaks down in his arms. Lowe later said he knew the student was struggling and had intended to harm himself. "I told him I was there to save him. That this is a life worth living," Lowe explained. His empathy gave a young man a second chance. In July of 2025, the Paris skyline was once again the backdrop for an act of heroism so cinematic, it's hard to believe it's real. In the 18th arrondissement, a fire broke out in an apartment building. Black smoke poured from a sixth-floor window, trapping a family inside. With flames spreading, their options were running out. That's when Fousseynou Sis, a 39-year-old school caretaker from an adjacent apartment, saw them. He had just gotten home when he heard the alarm, seeing the family trapped next door. He didn't run away from the danger, he ran towards it. In a move that defies belief, Sis climbed out of his own window and onto the narrow ledge. 65 feet above the ground, the heart-stopping footage shows him balancing on this tiny perch. The mother in the burning apartment, trusting him completely, passes him her 5-month-old baby. Sis takes the infant, carefully shuffles along the ledge, and hands the child through a neighboring window to safety. He then does it again with a 1-year-old toddler, but he wasn't done. One by one, he guided 2 more children and 2 adults across that ledge, from the inferno to safety. He single-handedly saved 6 lives. "I didn't think twice," Sis later told reporters. Their lives were in danger. He knew the risk was extreme. "I was facing a void from the 6th floor where I could fall," he said. "It wasn't easy." His only thought was for the family trapped by the flames. It's the heart telling you, no, you have to go. Just like Mamoudou Gassama before him, Fousseynou Sis was celebrated as a national hero. President Emmanuel Macron called to congratulate him, and he was awarded a medal for his bravery. The story also highlighted that Sis, an immigrant from Senegal, did not have full French citizenship, sparking public calls to honor his heroic deed. His story is another powerful reminder that heroes come from all walks of life, and that courage is a universal language. The morning school run is a routine for millions of parents. It's supposed to be boring, but for one family in Kentwood, Michigan, it became a nightmare. As they helped one child onto the school bus, a carjacker jumped into their running car and sped off. The problem? Her 2-year-old son was still in the back seat, panicked. The parents ran to the bus driver, Dave Skinner, and begged him to call 911. Skinner made the call, but he knew every second counted. So he did something more. He got on his dispatch radio and sent an alert to all other bus drivers in the district. Be on the lookout for a stolen car with a toddler inside. He turned the entire bus system into a search party. The message spread instantly. Minutes later, another driver, Sue Figueroa, was on her route when she spotted something that made her heart stop. A small child, alone, standing in a driveway wrapped in a blanket. The camera inside her bus catches the exact moment she realizes who it is. She immediately turns her bus around, rushes to the toddler, and scoops him up. You can hear the tenderness in her voice as she says, "Oh, sweet baby." Then she got on the radio with the 4 words everyone was desperate to hear. "I have the baby." The reunion is pure emotion. Figueroa drives the child to his waiting parents, and the camera captures the tearful handoff, a moment of profound relief. This rescue wasn't about one person's physical bravery, but about a community of ordinary people using their network and their sharp eyes to perform a miracle. It shows that heroism is also about quick thinking, communication, and the instinct to protect the most vulnerable among us. These stories really are unbelievable, aren't they? It's a powerful feeling to see the best of humanity shine through in the worst of times. If these moments are restoring your faith in humanity, consider subscribing. We're dedicated to finding and sharing these incredible true stories that prove heroes are everywhere. We also want to hear from you. Have you ever witnessed an act of everyday heroism? Share your story in the comments below. Let's build a community that celebrates the good in the world. Natural disasters bring out the worst in nature, but so often they bring out the best in people. In Telangana, India, devastating floods had turned roads into violent rivers. On one bridge, 9 people were trapped, the water rising around them with no way out. Then, a different kind of rescuer appeared. Not a boat or a helicopter, but a bulldozer. A man named Supan Khan saw the desperate situation and drove his massive piece of construction equipment directly into the flood. The video is terrifying. The water is so powerful it's nearly washing over the top of the bulldozer's massive blade. It's a fight between a man, his machine, and the full force of a flood. He carefully navigated the treacherous water, reached the stranded group, and they climbed aboard the only island of safety in sight. He then made the dangerous journey back, delivering all 9 of them to solid ground. A headline in India summed it up perfectly. 1 life versus 9. 1 man risked his life to save 9 others. He wasn't a trained rescuer. He was just a man with a bulldozer and the courage to use it. And this kind of heroism isn't a one-off. Similar scenes have been captured around the world. In Pakistan, where glacial floods have caused massive destruction, bulldozer operators are often on the front lines, clearing debris and rescuing those cut off by the water. These heavy machine operators become unlikely heroes. They're everyday tools transformed into life-saving machines. Heroism isn't just for saving people. Sometimes the most touching moments are when people go to extraordinary lengths to save animals, showing a different but equally powerful kind of compassion in one incredible video. A group of bikers stops traffic on a busy road. Why? 4. A family of ducks. They form a human shield, patiently waiting as a mother duck leads her ducklings safely across the road. It's a small act, but in a world that moves so fast, the decision to stop for the smallest creatures speaks volumes. The stakes get much higher in other clips. On the open ocean, divers found a massive whale shark, hopelessly entangled in a thick rope. The rope was cutting into its fins, and without help, the shark would have died. The divers didn't hesitate. They swam alongside the gentle giant carefully, working to cut the rope away. Freeing an animal that size is incredibly dangerous, but their calm, determined effort paid off. The moment the shark swims free is a beautiful testament to kindness. That same compassion shows up in the harshest environments. In the scorching Moroccan desert, a horn-nosed viper got trapped in a small crevice, left to die. A group of volunteers found the snake and mounted a careful rescue, freeing it from its prison. We see this in countless other videos. A man leaping into a canal to save a drowning fox, people reviving a dehydrated zebra on safari, and rescuers working for hours to free a horse that had fallen down a steep slope. These people remind us that a hero's heart has room for all living things. It takes a special kind of courage to run into a fire or brave a flood. But what about when the danger is looking you right in the eye, holding a weapon? Most people would run. But some heroes are just wired differently. In Houston, Texas, a man tried to steal expensive equipment from a construction site. When several workers confronted him, he pulled out a handgun. But even staring down the barrel of a gun, the workers didn't back down. The surveillance video is intense. They swarmed the armed man, fighting back as a team. One worker was punched and lost a tooth, but they managed to wrestle the gun away before the suspect fled. They were just doing their job, but when a threat appeared, they became a unit of citizen heroes. This kind of bravery isn't limited to groups. In Walnut Creek, California, robbers disguised as construction workers entered a watch store. One sprayed the owner, Kyle O'Connor, with a chemical spray, while another smashed a display case with a baseball bat. It was a violent, coordinated attack. But they didn't count on the owner fighting back. O'Connor, in a split second, drew his own legally owned handgun. He said he didn't even have to point it at them. Just the sound of him cocking the weapon was enough. The robbers heard it, saw it, and ran. O'Connor later said his only thought was don't shoot. He didn't want to pull the trigger. He just wanted to stop the threat. When asked if he had special forces training, his answer was no. I just did. That's just how I reacted, he said. In that moment of extreme danger, his instinct was to stand his ground and refuse to let evil win. So, what makes a hero? As we've seen, there's no single answer. A hero can be a man scaling a building or a teacher disarming a student with a hug. It can be a bus driver whose quick thinking saves a child, or a bulldozer operator who plows through a flood to save strangers. Heroism isn't about not being afraid. Mamadou Gassama's legs were shaking after his rescue. Fussein Yusuf was keenly aware of the 65-foot drop below him. True heroism, as these clips show, is about acting in spite of that fear. It's about seeing someone in need and choosing to intervene, often at great personal risk. The people in these videos didn't wake up planning to be heroes. They were just living their lives. But when the moment came, they rose to the occasion. Their actions, captured by chance on cameras and phones, give us a glimpse into the profound good that exists in ordinary people. They restore our faith in humanity. They remind us that for every act of cruelty we see, there are countless acts of courage and compassion happening all around us, most of them unseen. These moments, the ones that were filmed, challenge us. They ask what we would do, and they leave us with the inspiring truth that you don't need a cape to be a hero. You just need heart.